And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
It's no secret that I think Summoner Wars was one of the best games of 2009. Summoner Wars came with 4 different factions: orcs, goblins, humans, and the elves. And each of those factions played very different. So this is, if you've never played it before, I recommend you check out my review on that. What I'm going to talk about today, real briefly, is a couple of expansions that came out for the game. One of them is the game came with a paper map, but now there is a board, mounted board you can get for the game. And then there's 2 more factions. We have the Fallen Kingdom and the Vanguards. These are 2 new factions, and I want to briefly talk about these today as they fit into Summoner Wars. Now, we all might agree that this paper board was one of the weakest spots of Summoner Wars. Paper is paper, you know. It's you know, what do you expect when you get a small card game? Anyway, we're glad it was involved. But now the paper's gone. Now I would, rip this up as a ceremony here, but I'm just afraid I might need it someday, so we'll just throw it to the side. But anyway, here we have 2 boards, which are actually 2 identical boards, cut in half. But you put them together, and it just really looks a lot nicer. As you put the cards onto the board, it's just thematic. And it's a nice board, and everything looks good. If you like Summoner Wars, get these boards. Okay? But now let's talk about the new factions. The Vanguards are all about healing and defense. The priest here, one of the units, who's not even that bad at attacking, the big thing about him is that he can, besides attacking, instead he can heal somebody who is next to him. And in fact, there's cards in the deck, again, that are about healing the wounds off characters. And there's even one that gives a bonus to the priest characters. So that's a really useful ability to have, and that's mirrored with the Guardian Knights, who are there, and if they're next to someone, they can force that person to attack them. So you can see that you can work these healers and knights in tandem across the board as the healers heal the knight who is protecting the healer. It's a pretty neat combo, and it doesn't hurt to have a guy who can do a hail of arrows behind there. Now the summoner for this one, again, she's not so powerful as the game progresses, but she can heal, and she can heal very easily. The champions for the Vanguards, 3 different ones here, are some pretty neat people. One can fly. This guy gets stronger if he has wounds on him, and when she destroys a unit, forces the person to lose a card from their hand. Some really neat abilities. This is definitely not a very strong, powerful army, but they're a hard army to kill just because of all the healing that is going on. If the Vanguard are about life, then Fallen Kingdom is the opposite. They're about death. You can see that with one of their main warriors here, the Zombie Warrior, that when it kills an opponent, you can change them into a zombie to fight for your team. Or the Skeletal Archers, that when they die, there's a chance that they're not even killed, that they just go back to the discard pile. Or the Reaper, who every time he kills a unit, gets stronger and stronger. This, again, promotes this coming back from the dead theme that they're going to have. They're the undead army, basically. And the main summoner, who can spend magic points to basically bring units back from the dead. Again, death is also seen in the champions of this game, and they're maybe not so much death, but just deadliness, as this character here can kill anyone who moves next to him. Here he can, whenever he destroys a unit, he heals himself, and this gentleman here can destroy units to make him cheaper to get out into play. All 3 of them are pretty nasty. Then there's special cards which allow you to, this allows your summoner to raise 3 people a turn, or to destroy units to remove wounds from a champion. This is not a pleasant, happy army to be around. While the Vanguard are going around backing each other up, these guys are destroying each other to create more, coming back from the dead. This is an army that's going to be very powerful and very fun to play with, I think, as you keep bringing stuff back and back. And it should be a good challenge for the Vanguard or any of the armies that are in the game so far.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.